Hello, we're here for More Happier, a podcast where we get more happier. Hey, Elizabeth.
Hi, Gretch.
So today we're going to talk about House of the Dragon and ponder the question of what makes something a great sequel or also prequel. But first, something making us more happier. Elizabeth, what's something making you happier, more happier, or just plain happy?
Something making me more happier, Gretch, is that I feel like for the first time in quite a while, I have my blood sugar numbers under control.
Oh, yay! That's such a thing for you.
I know. And I just, for whatever reason, went through this period where I just couldn't get a handle on it. And then, I don't know, suddenly something just clicked in my brain. And now I feel like my numbers are really good, like on a daily basis. I'm waking up with a good number. And, you know, for type 1 diabetic, it's all about my A1C, and that the A1C is a result of kind of your blood sugar levels for a 3-month period.
Well, no, I remember when your whole one-word theme of the year was number 6 because you were...
Right.
Yeah. Is this because, now I know you're having your Summer of Health. Do you think, is this something that you're doing as part of Summer of Health, or it's kind of unrelated? I mean, it certainly fits Summer of Health.
No, definitely part of my Summer of Health was wanting to get my numbers in order. And so I'm eating a lot better. In fact, Gretch, I have to report to you, just before we recorded, I made gazpacho. So I have gazpacho chilling in the fridge.
Love gazpacho.
Which is, you know, a great thing to eat for a diabetic. But Mom used to make gazpacho all the time. And, you know, I love her gazpacho. It's not as good as hers, but I have to say this turned out pretty well. So I'm very pleased with myself. Now, granted, I was going to make it in June and it took till now, but I did it.
The best time to make gazpacho is 3 months ago. The second best time is now.
Yes.
Well, that's great, because I know this is something that is definitely like on your high priority list of things.
Yes. And you know, the thing about it is it's like a marathon, but a marathon that never ends. It's like being in a marathon the rest of your life. So there's just times when it's harder and easier, and I've clicked into a good time. So
that's great.
That's making me happy. What is making you happy?
Well, I have a big anniversary. You know, it is the 5th anniversary of my book, The Four Tendencies.
Yes.
It's been 5 years. And we did a lot on Happier with Gretchen Rubin about the Four Tendencies. But I just do want to stop and acknowledge the anniversary for myself, because I used to never notice. I never paid attention to pub dates or anything. And I do find, you know, we've talked a lot about the to-do list and taking time to appreciate milestones. And even a very prolific person doesn't write that many books in their life. Right. And so I feel like I want to give myself a sense of kind of remembering what I've done. And also, you know, I create all this stuff that I'm super excited about, and I want to remember to talk about it. Now, I talk about the Four Tendencies a lot just because I still am so engaged in it. But all my stuff, I'm like, I don't want to forget about this, my whole thing, because I'm super excited about it. So it's good to look back just so it keeps it fresh in my mind. So that is making me happy.
Good. I mean, Gretch, from my point of view, I'm like, what did we talk about before we had the Four Tendencies? It seems like I was born with talking about the Four Tendencies.
Well, see, this is the thing about the Four Tendencies. Like when I was creating it and coming up with it, I was like, surely somebody came up with this. So somebody noticed this. This is, once you know what to look for, it is so obvious. You see it.
Yeah.
Movies, TV, people around you, little kids. I mean, it's just really, really blatant. And I kept thinking, okay, this is not mine. Like, I'm going to find out that somebody's got this whole big thing that they're like selling to gigantic businesses. And no. So I know. It feels like it stretches back to eternity, but it's only been 5 years. It
does.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. That's great.
It's actually earlier because I came up with it for Better Than Before. It was really when I was thinking about habit formation for Better Than Before. So I actually came up with it longer than 5 years ago. So it's really the 5th anniversary of the book being published, where I'd already been thinking about it for years by then. But whatever. I mean.
Yes. Well, congrats. That's amazing. It's a great system.
Thank you. And by the way, if you haven't taken the quiz, go to quiz.gretchenrubin.com and take the quiz, because it's so fun.
Yes. All right. Well, coming up, we are going to talk about House of the Dragon.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot wait. But first, this break.
Okay, quality screen time. TV makes us happy. So, Elizabeth, you and I loved Game of Thrones.
Yes, we did.
I also read the books. You did not read the books, but we both loved the show.
Yes. And now HBO has House of the Dragon, not as I was calling it for a long time, House of Dragons. It's House of the Dragon, about the Targaryens.
Yeah, that's the Daenerys house.
Yes, the blonde house.
Yeah, silver hair.
And, silver. Yes. Yeah. And so let's just talk. What do we think? What do we like? What do we not like? I'll just come off the bat and say, after 2 episodes, I am definitively hooked. I will watch it every night when it comes out.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm really into it. I love being back in that world. Like, I think there's certain worlds people like to be in. Like, some people really like to be in a world of crimes or like of hospitals, or, you know, they just like an English manor. But I really like fantasy.
Like to be in Westeros.
I love being in Westeros again. I do love the dragons. I love the pomp and the circumstance. Like, I really like it when they have sort of the traditions and the religion and like the house sigils and the mottos. And, you know, I do like the world building. I really like George R.R. Martin's, the world that he has built. And so it's very exciting to be back in that world, in a different place in that world.
Yeah, and for anyone who hasn't seen it, it takes place 200 years before Game of Thrones begins. So none of those people are alive. It's sort of how they got to where they are.
Well, you know, one thing you mentioned, Elizabeth, and I 100% agree with you, is the opening.
Yes. Having the music, having that Game of Thrones sound.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's exactly the same. Is it exactly the same, or is it a variation?
That's a great question. If it's not exactly the same, it's very, very close.
And whenever I hear it, like my blood starts pumping, you know, it's like definitely a Pavlov's dog situation.
Yeah. The rest of the music, I don't recognize any of because we definitely had the like Faceless Men music and the different kind of musical themes. And it was interesting, like that opening sequence of Game of Thrones was so cool, the way it would like kind of go through the map. And now they're doing it different. It sort of looks the same, but it's a very different thing that they're doing. But here's something. Okay, so I am listening to commentary. I am listening to the official House of the Dragon podcast, which I really like. I'm listening to Mallory Rubin is a commentator I love. I loved her binge mode that she did about Game of Thrones. And now she's got a new one called House of Ard that she's doing with Joanna Robinson, who's another big pop culture commentator. And on one of these podcasts, I forget which one, somebody said, okay, you know how the king is building that model?
Yes.
Maybe he's building the model that will be the opening sequence.
I have also heard commentators comment on that possibility. Yes. Yeah. Gretchen, I'm also listening. I am listening to, so I have a show I love called Watch What Crappens, which is usually about all things Bravo. But now they're doing Winter is Crappening. And it is about House of the Dragon. So I'm also listening to commentary. And they were saying that they have heard, many speculating that model may become part of the show.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't understand why the blood is like unlocking the wheels or something, gears or whatever, but maybe all will be revealed. Here's a fun fact. I don't even remember how I stumbled across this. You can learn High Valyrian on Duolingo. Apparently more than 500,000 people are learning High Valyrian. It's like a true created language.
That is amazing. Gretch, if we were really committed, we would learn and then we would do a bonus podcast speaking in High Valyrian. We won't do that, but it would be amazing if we did.
But, you know, do you think, I mean, you write TV, do you think that there must be all this enormous pressure on the people who are creating this, not only because of all the money and all the expectations, but if you're thinking there's a whole industry now built around, I mean, you and I, between the two of us, we listen to 3-4 podcasts that are just basically recap commentary podcasts, and it's only 2 episodes in. Like, we don't even know if it's good.
Right. I can't imagine the pressure they're under. I mean, just thinking about it, my body like seizes up.
Yeah.
And you know, there are other Game of Thrones spinoffs in the work. One that would star Kit Harington, and like one that's part of the Game of Thrones world time-wise about Jon Snow. And this had the highest opening ever for HBO.
Yeah.
Just under 10 million. They then renewed it for season 2. So you know it's sticking around. And then episode 2, Gretch, the ratings went up. That never happens in TV. You almost always get your highest rating. I mean, unless it's like a huge show, the series finale.
Right.
But almost always a show debuts and then it goes down. So this show debuted and then it went up the next week. So of course, just as a TV writer, that interests me.
Well, Ben, and one thing that I always remember that you told me is that pilots are really hard. And so you really, like, if there's a show where you want to watch it and then you're kind of disappointed with the pilot, give it a couple episodes. And then why are pilots so hard?
Well, just trying to get all that information in, like you have to introduce everyone, which requires exposition. And exposition is just sort of a TV killer, right? The less exposition, the better.
Right.
And then you need to sort of get far enough in to get people hooked, but you haven't established enough to have these hooks. So it's really hard. Like even the first episode, I would say I enjoyed less than the second episode. And in the first episode, and still to some degree, like, I don't know if I'm as in love with any character as I was with Tyrion, played by Peter Dinklage. Like, to me, that's like my favorite television character of all time, except for maybe Don Draper. So, but in the second episode, I started really feeling those connections to the characters because you know them better. It's just hard to get to know someone, especially when there's so many.
But so here's the thing I was thinking, like, it really does. It's like, okay, we talked about Mad Men too, like as a show that we both love. And both those shows had like the person who was like incredibly witty. And I can't remember the name of the character in Mad Men, but it was the boss. It was Roger, right?
Yes, Sterling.
Roger Sterling. He was the guy that just was like, he had the Tyrion kind of, the quick, the zingers, just like the drive-by quotable lines. So maybe this person is coming because you really do need it, or someone like Varys. But you're right, you can't have everybody in the first scene.
Right.
And they're not interesting yet if they're kind of lurking in the shadows. So it's hard.
Now there is the trademark Game of Thrones violence. And, for people who are sensitive to that, you will not enjoy this show.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, you got to watch out. And it's definitely not something to watch with your kids,
No.
There's all kinds of, it's on HBO.
And I hide my eyes. Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Okay, but we do have to mention the wigs.
Yeah, even before it came out, I think you and I were talking about the fact that everyone has this, as you say, silver hair.
Yeah, it's the trademark Targaryen thing.
Which basically doesn't exist in nature, I don't think, or very few people have it. So everyone on the show seems to have a wig. I don't know, some of them are dyed. And that is distracting. I keep telling Sarah, because she hasn't watched it yet, I'm like, the wigs are going to bother you, but just push through, please.
Right.
And then you were saying one of your podcasts was talking about this.
Yeah, no, they have a whole segment called Wig Watch, which I thought was a hilarious name.
It cracks me up.
I have to say the wigs didn't bother me as much, and I think it's probably because your eye is just more trained to like look for these like little is this working? Is this working? Probably just even unconsciously, you're just so much more attuned. You have a more perceptive eye. Where I'm just like letting it wash over me. But it does become a little, well, like that child, I don't want to spoil, but like the child that's walking with the king, her hair, you're like, that hair just, on a little kid, that kind of hair looked kind of odd.
But yet it was so striking. I have to say, then I started kind of falling in love with it because it's all just part of the world.
Yeah.
But I do think about like, oh my God, that must have cost so much. And they had the scenes where the scene, Gretch, where the two young women were sort of praying by that huge ring of candles.
Yeah.
I just thought, boy, that looks like it must have been difficult to do.
Now, what makes that difficult?
Oh,
Why is
I don't know.
difficult?
Just like you have to be somewhere where you can have all those candles going. I mean, that alone requires like the firemen to be there. And
oh, sure.
Although as someone pointed out on one of my podcasts, they look like they have bonfires in their chandeliers. So I guess they are used to dealing with fire. But on Fantasy Island, that
Well,
would be a lot to do.
and what was interesting because they were all kind of guttering and I was like, that's hard because how do you get them like blowing but not blowing out?
Yes. No, it just, yeah, again, my eye was like, interesting.
They do all this. And so it's like the candle work was
Yes,
amazing.
exactly. But yes,
Like the little things.
If there's
no one appreciates.
Yes, if there's anything
the
they
candle
know
man.
how to do, though, I'm sure it's fire and candles and torches. So anyway, I'm excited to watch. I'm bummed it's once a week, even though it's kind of exciting that it's once a week. I would binge the whole thing, in 24 hours if I could.
Yeah. We'll be watching. Now for a spotlight on a tool. Elizabeth, we're going to return to something we want to remind everybody to do this. We got to remind ourselves. And, talking about the summer of health made me think of this. And also my nap today reminded me of this because 22 is our year of #rest 22 and 22. And it's important to rest. And I have to say that adding a nap to my day when I can, I just do it when I can. So I don't even monitor it. I don't even if I can't do it, I don't consider it's just like some days I can, some days I can't. I love my nap so much. It's like the biggest treat. And I really do think it helps me be more productive and creative and concentrate and focus afterward. I really do think it does. But it's just such a pleasure. I would do it even if it didn't have any effect at all. Just because it feels so good to lie down and close my eyes.
Well, for me, the rest 22 and 22 thing goes to your, you say all the time, something, if you want to do something, put it on the calendar. I feel like I don't have my 22 minutes on my schedule, and therefore I have a harder time remembering to do it. I should
because
do that.
My nap is like it's like I know where it would fit into my day. So even though it's not officially scheduled, it's kind of obvious where it slots in.
Yes.
And there's kind of like I'm not going to do it too early and I'm not going to do it too late. So that's interesting because do you feel like we're entering into Q4?
Yes.
Or right? Do you want to try putting it on the calendar?
Maybe I should. What time do you nap? Around?
I nap after lunch, but before 4.
Okay.
Because I think if it's after 4, it just sort of doesn't work. But maybe napping doesn't work for you. Maybe you want to just take 20 minutes and just, I don't know, put your feet up and listen to a book.
Interesting. Yeah.
You love audiobooks.
Yes, I do. Maybe I should try to put that on the calendar every day.
Do you have lunch every day? I don't even know what your
Well, right now my schedule is very open.
Is there a time when you naturally feel like a lull or where you just have that feeling of
probably around 4
lassitude?
4, I would say. Yeah.
Well, you're later.
I get up. I stay up later than you do. So maybe at 4. My problem when I nap is I am someone who will nap. It's hard for me not to then just sleep for 2 hours. I love napping.
So maybe what you do, so it's 22 and 22. So 2 plus 2 is 4. So maybe at 4, you just listen to a book for 22 minutes and maybe you sit up so you don't actually fall asleep. Because if it is unsettling to go into a long nap, it can make you groggy. It can mess with your sleep. Yeah. I can sort of naturally nap for 22 minutes, bizarrely. But so maybe for you, it's better not to actually try to do any kind of sleep, but just, have that moment of peace and just relax your body and relax your mind.
All right. I'm going
to every day.
Try that at 4:00. All right. We'll see how that goes.
Okay. And so for other people, if you need a jump start, because it's true, it seems like a lot of people have kind of struggle with this more than kind of walk 20 and 20 or read 21.
Sure.
Yes. It's funny. Now you see why people, why do people have a hard time resting? Because they have a hard time resting.
Yeah.
The jumpstart for rest, if you go to happiercast.com/rest, there's a jumpstart that's meant to kind of help you, know yourself better. It's a bunch of tools to help you get started or get back on track if you've fallen off. So, interesting, Elizabeth. We'll have to see how that works for you.
Okay, Gretch. After the break, we're going to talk about what makes a great sequel. But first, we will take this break.
Okay, listen, more quality screen time. We got a lot of happiness from our screens lately. And you had a very interesting insight that I wanted you to elaborate on about the movie Top Gun Maverick, the sequel to Top Gun.
Yes, which has been a huge blockbuster this summer. You and I saw it. Our whole family saw it.
Yeah, separately. But yeah, we all saw it.
But you and I were talking about how like, to me, this is the perfect sequel. It's almost like they put it through a sequel machine and came out with the perfect sequel.
Now, so you said that, and I wanted you to expand on that. Like, why is it a perfect sequel? I don't dispute that, but I don't have the chops to understand why that is.
Okay, well, I think they kept like the opening sequence was like very, very similar to the original, which again, I think it like gets you in that mood for Top Gun that you were in, you know, however many years ago. They kept 80s music, which I thought was really interesting. Rather than doing music from today, they did 80s music, which again, I think young people can enjoy because it's fun and maybe more different for them. And then of course, those of us who are around for the original love hearing the 80s music.
Yeah.
I thought the way they moved Tom Cruise through his career, you know, the character of Maverick was really smart, that he was still sort of distinguished, but still like the Maverick.
Yes. That's a perfect way to put it. He was distinguished, but hadn't really been promoted.
Yeah, he wasn't part of the system still. He was outside of the system, but yet doing some, you know, important stuff.
Yeah.
I thought the conflict, so this, for anyone who hasn't seen it, the center is really about Tom Cruise and the son of Goose, who was his partner who died in Top Gun.
And like his beloved best friend.
Yes, his beloved best friend. And the sort of central conflict was that at a certain point, Tom Cruise hadn't helped the son go into flight school. I think it was because, you know, Meg Ryan's character thought it was too dangerous because her husband had died. Understandable. From everybody's point of view as a parent, you totally get that. And the son really held it against Tom Cruise, which you also understand because this is what he wanted to do with his life. So everybody was right, which is always nice.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, that's good conflict.
Yes. And then I thought it was really interesting. They chose to have Meg Ryan's character having died, which I thought was very smart because in the movie, there's a really dangerous mission and the son wants to be on that mission. And it's Tom Cruise's decision whether or not he is now that time has passed. And I think had that character of his mother been alive, you could never have wanted him to go on the mission. So I thought that was like a super smart choice. I mean, I just feel like every time they had a choice to make, they made a really smart choice that didn't dumb it down. It just made it really good.
Right. Val Kilmer, the way they handled his character.
I mean, that was great. And from what I've heard, Tom Cruise was really insistent. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Val Kilmer in real life had throat cancer. So he can't talk really very well. And Tom Cruise was absolutely insistent that he have a real part in the movie. And he has a great part that's really significant and it's executed beautifully. So again, I'm like, they nailed it. You know, I was just so impressed.
But Elizabeth, you know, you're part of a sequel. Fantasy Island is a sequel. It's often called a reboot, but it's not a reboot. It's a sequel. So explain the difference between what is a reboot, what is a sequel, and what is your philosophy of like when you bring something back? Because it's like there's so many things now that are coming back. Some are well done, some are not so well done. Like, how do we think about this?
Yes, it's true. A lot of people call Fantasy Island a reboot. We say it's a sequel because we're just following the timeline. Like in our world, Mr. Rourke, the original host that everybody knew, was the host. He died. Now his great niece, played by Rosalind Sanchez, is the host. And we acknowledge like all the stuff that came before.
Right, like she has his chair and everybody's like, oh, it's such a big deal that she still sits in his chair. It's not like she's the new Mr. Rourke. She's like the descendant of Mr. Rourke and doing the same and kind of in a mystical way.
Yes, and there was the famous character of Tattoo on the original, and we've addressed that in our own way with our Tattoo character. And I mean, I like that because, of course, to me, it's like if you love the original, you want to sort of acknowledge it, right?
Right.
And I think a reboot would be, it's as if that other show like would just existed on a different plane. So, for example, Bel Air right now is a hugely successful reboot on Peacock. And it's a total reimagining of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which is why it's called Bel-Air instead of Fresh Prince. It's an hour, it's a drama, it deals with like very topical issues. It's sort of deep family conflict and drama, whereas the original Fresh Prince was much lighter and was a half-hour sitcom, starring Will Smith. So both can be great.
Yeah.
It's just, what are you doing? And one thing that I find really interesting, and I know you do too, Gretch, is this idea now that television is just picking up with the characters 15 years later.
Love it. Sex in the City.
Will and Grace did it. I think
Yes.
there's a lot of talk that Frasier might do it.
Yeah.
And as someone who loves those characters, it's like just so fun to go back to them.
Well, and you see that in movies too, like the what is it, before sunrise, before midnight.
Yes.
Those. I think it's fascinating. I love it. Now, what do you think about prequels? This is the last thing I want to say about this. It's like, okay, so House of the Dragon, also, what's the Lord of the Rings one? The Rings of Power, also a prequel. Don't you have problems with, everybody says the problem with the prequel is people kind of know what happens. Why do a prequel instead of a sequel? Or is this just because of those are based on underlying stories and by the creators, and it's just like there's more stuff in the background than there is in the future, so that's where they're building their story.
Yeah, well, I think if a prequel comes far enough before the original, then it doesn't feel like you know what happened. Feels like a totally different story.
Yeah,
which is clearly what Game of Thrones wanted to do with House of the Dragon. It's like you know where it gets to eventually, but you don't know enough about the details to make it feel like a rehash. But I think the reason for a prequel often is just like if it feels like the sequel would have to use the same characters.
Oh, right.
But you know, they're not available. You don't know what's going to happen with them. Then you go to the prequel. And obviously everything isn't going to work for a prequel. I think Game of Thrones, look, if House of the Dragon works, I'm sure we'll get other houses.
Yeah.
So anyway, I love a sequel. I love a prequel. Bring it on.
Bring it on.
All right, Gretch, what is our quotation today?
Okay, this comes from Frank Stella. In 1964, he said, "I knew a wise guy who used to make fun of my painting, but he didn't like the abstract expressionists either. He said they would be good painters if they could only keep the paint as good as it is in the can. And that's what I tried to do. I tried to keep the paint as good as it was in the can."
Nice.
So Elizabeth, are you feeling happier, more happier?
I am feeling more happier, Gretch. Nothing makes me more happier than talking about TV and movies.
Yes.
Thank you, Chuck. Get in touch. Gretchen's on Twitter at Gretchen Rubin, and I'm at Elizabeth Kraft. Our email address is podcast@GretchenRubin.com. And for everything related to this episode, links, photos, and more, go to happiercast.com. Bye, Gretch.
Bye, Elizabeth. The best time to start a happiness project is 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So, Liza, are you going to watch Sunday night? Is that what you said? You're going to try to watch it do you watch it live or do you just try to watch it that night?
Not live, but I will watch Sunday night for sure. I'm in.
And is that just so because you don't want spoilers and all that, or you're just...
Yeah, I don't know. I just like to see it when it's out. But I'm still searching for friends who are into it, Gretch. Right now, you're my only House of the Dragon partner. So you need to watch it Sunday too.
Okay, I will. It's a fun Sunday night thing to do. We'll do it and we'll talk about it. Thanks for watching the podcast here on YouTube. If you enjoyed the show, please hit subscribe right below the video. It really helps other people to discover our show. From the Onward Project.